to you from Parliament Square here in London. We'll be talking about the UK elections, how it impacts the Indian Brits over here in the United Kingdom, but also what are the main issues, how do the elections impact India-UK ties, and how different are elections here in the United Kingdom as compared to the one recently held in India. We saw the fanfare, the kind of money, but if I could just ask Nandini over here to just show, this is Parliament Square. And there's nothing much that tells you that there is an actual general election happening here in the United Kingdom. Britain looks exactly the way it would on any given day. So let's just go across to the Indian Brits over here, the Indian community representing the Friends of Overseas BJP. Kuldeep ji, thank you so much for joining us. Sushil Rapatwar is actually contesting from Brent, from the Conservative Party, not a very enviable position for him. We also have a lot of others we'll be going to, but first coming to you. How do you see the elections play out over here this time? An early election, will that really help Sunak?
Well, I don't think so. It's going to help him. Elections here are just a normal story. First of all, there is no kind of drama that happens in India. It's very simple. Total cost allowed to a candidate is £18,000. That's the only cost he can cover during his election. He can spend that kind of money. And within that money, he has to cover the entire election expenses. So it's not like what we do in India. As far as the story goes, right now, people are saying that Conservatives are not on the favorite list. It is the Labour which is on the favorite list. But let's see, things are turning around now towards Conservatives back, and things are not as rosy for Labour as it was because they don't have an agenda. And I have a problem with both the parties because, first of all, Conservatives didn't do much about the community. They were in a bad shape when Rishi Sunak took over. Slowly he has turned the economy around. On the other side, Labour doesn't have an agenda. And then Labour, half the Labour Party is pro-Palestine, which is another subject which does not belong to UK. How does that help?
Okay. So he's saying that you still stand a chance. Sushil ji, tell me, what is the agenda that you're fighting this election on?
Look, last 14 years, they keep on saying, last 14 years, what has this party done? What has Conservatives done? Because we have been in power since 2010 onwards. People forget, as they say, 1 week is a long week in terms of politics. 14 years is obviously long. We have done some phenomenal achievements in last 14 years. But the way media has portrayed it and the typical strong anti-incumbency is there. We want change. But change for the sake of change? What is the other option you have got in? As Kuldeep was saying, they have got no agenda, they have got no plan. The leader of the Labour Party, which is Sir Keir Starmer, whenever he opens his mouth, it's just waffle coming out. If you see the real substance, if you have seen the debates between Rishi and Keir, Rishi has got substantive answers to the questions asked by the audience. What is he going to do? We are going to cut the taxes. We are going to improve and put more money and with the plan for the NHS. Cost of living. So there are some standard plans we have got, whereas Labour just keeps on waffling.
Right. I saw the last debate too. Yes, you might have a slight point over there, but what about anti-incumbency? And the larger question over here is Britain really prepared for an Asian? Rishi Sunak was elected Prime Minister not through general elections. This is the first time he's actually standing for elections. So is the country really prepared?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. But it's a democracy. We have got the rules that whoever is the ruling party, whoever is the leader of that ruling party, however that person is chosen, like Gordon Brown, he was not elected, right? After Tony Blair, he came into power. So similarly, Rishi was the leader of Conservatives, and Conservatives have majority. So he is the Prime Minister. So now this is the real test. He has proven as a Chancellor of Exchequer that during difficult times like COVID, he came up with a fantastic scheme called as furlough, who has helped millions of people. So he was a fantastic Chancellor, and then he gave 5 priorities that we wanted. Getting the inflation down, improving the economy, improving the NHS, getting the boards down. All of those things he has considerably worked and delivered quite a lot of them.
Are you confident? Are you confident about your own constituency and that you could see a win?
Oh, in my own constituency, it can be close. It can be close because for last 27 years it has been Labour, and the demography has also changed. But as Kuldeep, you're saying, things are changing. People are realizing that we are turning the corner in the right way and in the right direction. So hopefully they will take cognizance of that, and let us see. It might even get close.
So the Conservatives still quite confident. Let's see whether if they can shake the system to their advantage or not. Jay Shah over here has seen many a UK election. Tell us, how is this election any different from the past elections? The issues, the agenda, everything has changed. Now we have immigration as the foremost agenda.
Because since last week, things have changed. Because if you look at the British economy has grown, it's the fastest growing economy in G7 economy. Now that has changed. The taxation policy, because I've been campaigning on the doorstep of Conservative Party, and I'm hearing that people who are anti are saying no, we are going to come and vote back for Conservative, and that makes a sense because that £2,000 taxation which Rishi Sunak raised in his debate is hitting the houses and the constituents and saying,
Really?
yeah.
Really? Is there anybody over here who actually thinks that realistically on the ground, you're a journalist, Avinash, so you tell me, they're all saying that Rishi Sunak is hitting the right notes when it comes to the elections. But according to you, do you really think that is something that will help them this election? What are you seeing? You've seen a lot. Actually, you've seen nothing because this is nothing like India or Indian elections.
Well, if you've covered the Indian election, this is a shock to you because everything is so meticulous and planned. But I think that goes from the whole fact that the first Commons was constituted in 1802. So it's been over 2 centuries that they've got their systems put. But the best or the biggest achievement for Sunak, like every other Indian, he's a good manager. So when he inherited the party, I think it's for the first time that one party in their long rule has had 5 prime ministers. So that is the big challenge of the Tories. The candidate from their party said that COVID was some good work done, but it was the party gate that is still haunting them. So that is the number one issue why people are angry with the Tories is because of Boris Johnson, the party gate, then trash the economy. But to Rishi's credit, like any other good Indian manager, he's managed to somehow hold the fort. He's managed to keep everybody happy, keep everything intact, and he's not an active politician. And that naivety was shown a few days back at the D-Day celebrations when he and Sir Keir Starmer were both there. Rishi came back to do television engagements, whereas Starmer stayed back. Now, that is something that he should not have done. And this is one example that he is not a hands-on politician who knows the day in and day out mechanism.
But a lot of criticism because of that.
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
Okay. What about you? We see a temple run happening over here. Starmer and Rishi both going to various temples. Is there a need to woo the Hindu voters in the Indian community?
Of course, in Hindu voters, especially for Indian community, I'm also in the support of the Rishi Sunak, the Conservative, and I think so all the Hindu voters will be supporting to Rishi Sunak.
Really? You think that Hindu vote bank is going to Sunak, despite Starmer going to Swaminarayan temple?
How it works is there is a 20% vote of Muslims, around 10.8% is Hindus, but the Hindu vote of the late has been going to Conservative. Even the last election they were with Conservative. So things have changed from Labour to Conservative, and in certain areas except London, things are in a very different perspective. There are 56 constituencies which are pro-Islam constituencies. Those constituencies are not going to vote for even Labour. They want to vote for the person who is going to look after Palestine issue.
Nigel Farage, George Galloway, are they going to really be spoilers this time around?
Well, let us see. Let us see what happens on the 4th of July. Because George Galloway is an open kind of cannon. He opens his mouth and he speaks some stuff which doesn't make sense most of the time, or probably all the time. And probably Nigel Farage, I would say most of the time. So, and to be honest, right, the electorate is not stupid. They have become very clever. They have become very sharp, especially with social media. So some of them still get biased and they get driven by the agenda. But many people can see what the real stuff that person is speaking. So I don't think the electorate can be taken for granted, as probably might have been the case 30, 40 years ago. But now they're pretty sharp, shrewd and clever.
What about polarization? Is polarization a major issue this election?
What do you mean by polarization? Sorry.
The Hindu-Muslim vote bank, Khalistan pro-anti vote bank. Is that a major issue?
I don't think so. No, I don't think it's a major issue. No, no, because I think
are the issues?
some of the people just say it on impulse. They don't think so. When they go and think back, then say, "Oh no, you should have said that. You should have done that." I think the major issue is that people are not realizing what the Conservatives have done in the last 4 years as a government. When you look at it, the economy is growing and it's growing at 0.7% best in G7. Like the Conservatives have triple locked the pensions for the over 65s with no tax, with no VAT on private schools, education, and if the other parties come in, they will just continue all these things, and it will affect a lot of middle class people, who most of them are Conservative voters, so it will affect them quite a lot.
Okay. So,
especially the green belt area where Keir Starmer announced yesterday and that they were going to build on a green belt. And if this is the case, that's upsetted a lot of green lobbies and environmentalists.
Yes.
And what we are finding is immigration is the biggest issue in United Kingdom now, and people feel that if Labour comes in power, immigration is going to increase on a massive scale. And at the moment, as a country, we can't cope with what we have.
But Rishi has also not been able to contain immigration.
No, but he has tried to bring Rwanda Act, and if you look at the European countries, they are trying to follow Rwanda Act in Europe now. If you look at what is happening in France, the right wing is coming because they are against the immigration. You're seeing in Germany what's happened, and you're seeing Netherlands. Now this is what's happening in European countries, because what Rishi has been trying to find is a human way, best of observing the human rights, at the same time trying to resolve the issues. And I think people have realized that Rishi's answer is the best answer to solution, not Starmer's, because Starmer is not going to deal with any of these issues. And I have lived here 53 years, and I find it that especially the immigrant community has been integrated in the major sector. If you look around, we have bankers, we have businessmen, if you've got politician. If you look at Conservative Party, has got a record of 5 politicians being a minister. So, this shows that they are moved away from the rest and the cards playing in the past.
Okay, so here we have a lot of people from the Indian community very confident about looking at maybe a return, and hopeful too, of a Sunak return, but we'll have to wait and see how that really turns out. Whilst that happens, we'll keep bringing you all the live coverage from the ground here in London on how elections are being conducted, rather not visible, but certainly is going to be a very important one on July 4th. So we'll bring you all the details from the ground from here in London. Geeta Mohan reporting for India Today Global.